Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be diving in to a few new pieces from the Chanel 2022 Spring Summer collection. They launched a bunch of new products and I picked up a few pieces. They also launched at Ulta, so Chanel is now available at Ulta, which I feel like that's a really good thing for Ulta. So I'm excited that Chanel is now at Ulta. With the Ulta launch, they launched this, which is the Chanel, this is the Red Camellia Revitalizing Foundation. And I picked this up in the shade BD41, and I was a little bit concerned because I wear BD51 in their shade range, but they didn't have BD51, so I thought, well, maybe I'll do BD41 because it is in the middle of winter, but it's too light. So I have picked up a different shade. I think I picked up B60, and I'll probably have to mix them. 60 might be a little too dark, but if I can mix them, we'll see. So I will be testing out this new foundation. As soon as I get that B60, I will go ahead and start testing it. So that will be in a separate video, along with, I picked up one of the cream blushes that was launched from the Red Camellia line. So that will be coming up in an upcoming video. Let's dive into what I'm talking about in this video. First we have this. This is the new quad. This is the Multi-Effect Quadra eyeshadow. It is the number 747 Mediterranean. So the best way for me to describe these textures in this palette, it reminds me of the Hollywood Flawless Eye Filter palettes from Charlotte Tilbury. They're kind of very similar in the way that they apply, the way that they swatch. They all kind of have that shimmering, small crushed pearl glitter effect, but glitter is a very intense word. They're not strong glitter. They're just a very finely milled kind of like crushed pearl effect to the eye. It does come in 4 different shades, but the shades are all very similar. I will swatch this palette next to other palettes that I find that might be similar in texture. This is a more unique formula in texture, and it is not like, it's not instant pigment, so it's not going to be on the same level as like Natasha Denona or Pat McGrath or anything like that, but Chanel is kind of a different brand. They have this more effortless kind of like feather light type of look to them. If you are someone who likes a lot of shimmering effect and you like a pop, then this might not be your palette. This is definitely like more of a sophisticated, softer type of palette. So kind of keep that in mind. Let's jump into the next product. So they launched 2 shades in the Illuminating Blush Powder, and I kind of goofed on this. I only picked up 1 shade, and now I regret it because this shade is actually too light for me. Could not really get it to show up on my complexion. So this is the shade Peche Rosé, and it's such a gorgeous shade, and I am such a sucker for peach. And the other color looks so purple in tone that I thought, oh, that's definitely going to be for like a darker complexion. But now I'm looking at swatches of that shade. It's got more of like a terracotta color to it. This one is definitely lighter than I was expecting it to be. So if you are my complexion, this is not going to work for you. I built this up so many times, and what I'm wearing right now is actually not what this is. I had to go over top of this with a cream blush to give it some color because I just could not get it to show up on my complexion. So if you are my complexion and you were considering this, don't get it. It'll be a complete waste of money. It's just like I think I used it like, I think I built it up 5 or 6 times on the cheek, and I just could not get that pigment to pull up. So kind of keep that in mind, but I did go ahead and order the other color, and I think I'm going to gift this to my daughter because my daughter likes a light wash of blush. She doesn't like strong blush. She's completely opposite of me. I like a blush, okay? I'm a blush girl. So I think this blush in particular will be perfect for that person who likes that light wash of blush where you don't really want to look like you're wearing blush, but you add a little bit of color to the skin to give that color to the cheek, but without looking like you have blush on. See, I like to look like I got blush on. So we're all different. We all like something different. So I don't feel like this is going to work for everyone, but If you are my complexion, just know that this is only going to be built so far. It doesn't have a lot of depth to the color, meaning that you can continue to build it and build it and build it, but you're only going to be able to build it so far. The color is much lighter in tone than it appears in the pan. This blush is $70, which is the reason why I think I'll gift it to my daughter versus just keeping it, because this will never be used in my collection. Even if, for example, I could keep this. I could totally keep it and use it in conjunction with a cream blush. So maybe using a cream blush to be the base and then put this over top, because it does kind of have a little bit of that highlight effect to the pigment, but it's so light for me and my complexion. And I am like a medium to tan with a golden undertone. I will leave popular foundations out on the market and what shades I wear in those foundations in the description box down below, so that you can kind of get an idea of my skin tone and what shades I wear in foundations. If you're my complexion and you're a sucker for peach blush, this is not going to cut it. The final piece in the collection that I picked up was the Hydrating Tinted Lip Balm. These come in 7 shades, and it is $42. And I've always really enjoyed Chanel's lippies. In fact, one of my favorites was discontinued. I kind of go into that when I try this out. These are described as a comfortable, moisture-rich balm that smooths the appearance of lips and offers buildable color. And you can see right away that this gives the lips some color. And I didn't apply any lip liner with it or anything, and it does have a really decent color. The formula kind of reminds me of the Lip Chics from Chantecaille, and also these from Tom Ford. So this one is the Soleil from Tom Ford. These are the Ultra Shine Lip Color. This is in the shade 315. These have more of a shine to it, so that's from Tom Ford. It has a little bit more of a shine to it, but very similar in application and kind of the overall shiny lip balm type thing. And I really love the Chantecaille Lip Cheeks. They're some of my absolute favorites. So this one is in the shade Peach Blossom. So that is the Chantecaille Peach Blossom next to the one from Chanel. So again, they're kind of that healthy lip glow kind of formula. They're not really a full lipstick or anything. They definitely have a shine to them, which means they're going to wear off a little bit quicker than a lipstick will, but they always give the lips such a gorgeous shine. And I also really like them because I don't have to worry about a lip liner. They're so easy to kind of throw on. Let's go ahead and jump into the application, and I'm going to apply all 3 of these products. Then we will get into the swatches and comparisons. Then we will get into my final thoughts. So I will see you guys then. Let's go ahead and jump into these new products from Chanel. Comes in this little black sleeve like most of the Chanel products do. And then it has a gold Chanel here. This is what the shades look like. My biggest critique off the bat is that the shades are all very similar, meaning that they all kind of have that same tone to them. I am going to use the sponge tip applicator to apply this shade right here on the lid. I always love using a sponge tip applicator to apply these type of shimmer shades in particular. Sponge tip applicators are amazing, and I actually really like Chanel's sponge tip applicators. So I'm gonna go ahead and dip into this shade right here. It does ruin the embossing, which stinks, but let's put that on. Ooh, that is pretty, right? See, and I feel like the sponge tip applicator just applies that so much better than a brush. Now, a finger might apply it just as pretty, but I do have longer nails on, and applying products like this with my fingernails are not the easiest. On this side, I'm gonna spray it, just a tiny bit though. Let's see if we get more shimmery effect with the sponge tip being a little bit dampened. Okay, so I actually quite like it more dampened. You can see it has a little bit more of that punch to it. So I'm going to do the same thing on this side and kind of match it. Yeah, so dampening that applicator really brings that shade to another level. Like you can see it just really makes that shade pop. And I'm trying to think off the top of my head like what I have in my collection that might be similar to this texture. Maybe the Hollywood Flawless Filter palettes from Charlotte Tilbury. So this is the Hollywood Flawless Eye Filter Luxury Palette in Star Aura. So this is similar to this. So let me show you guys what that shade looks like next to the one I just applied. So this is Charlotte Tilbury and this is Chanel. And you can see they're very similar. I mean, they have that exact same type of texture to them. And they both have that crushed kind of pearl, finely milled glitter kind of moment to it. I will swatch this palette next to this new one from Chanel, but they're both very similar in texture. But this looks really beautiful. I'm gonna grab this green right here. This is the Sonia G Soft Shader. I'm gonna apply this here on the outer corner. And I would say this is the darkest shade of the four. I'm going to grab the Wayne Goss number 20. I'm going to go into this shade right here, which is a really pretty kind of taupe color. And I'm going to sweep that in the crease and kind of blend those shades together and kind of blend out the edges. I feel like this palette is probably best used in conjunction with other palettes. I feel like I need something in the crease to kind of give me something. This palette is sitting here because I was using this palette the other day. This is the Mini Star palette from Natasha Denona. I'm just going to take this shade right here, but I need something to kind of bring some color to this. Yes, see how much difference that made? Just adding a little bit of a matte shadow to kind of give some dimension in the crease. Okay, so I went ahead and threw on some concealer, and let's go ahead and kind of finish this up. I am gonna first probably grab this shade in the Natasha Denona palette. This does lean a little bit more on the warmer tone side, but any matte brown is gonna work with this. I just feel like this palette from Chanel is probably best used in conjunction with another palette. I mean, you could create a full look using it, don't get me wrong. I feel like you're gonna get the most use out of it with using it with other palettes. I'm gonna tell you what, I dampened this shade. So when I took that brush from Sonia G, I grabbed this shade and then I dampened it with some MAC Fix Plus. And I feel like the palette kind of transforms. It goes from being just a very soft, subtle palette to this just gorgeous, like shiny moment. So depending on what you're looking for, it has that versatility. So I'm gonna go ahead and put some here on that brush. And I am going to place that like right here on this outer corner. I'm gonna add just a little bit more depth. So I'm gonna take the flat definer from Sigma. I'm gonna go into this dark brown shade right here in the Natasha Denona palette. And I'm gonna put a little bit of that right here on the outer corner on both sides. And I'm also going to put some of that on the upper lash line, like right here at the base. Let's move on to the blush that I picked up from Chanel. You guys know that I love a peachy blush. Peachy blushes are my jam. So this was completely up my alley when it comes to the color story. So I don't have anything on my face. So I haven't put any contour on or bronzer or anything. So let's go ahead and jump right in and apply this blush. Finding a clean blush brush might be fun for me. I got this one from Patrick Ta. Hallelujah. Okay, let's jump in. I need to clean my brushes. In fact, when I get done filming this, I'm going to be cleaning my brushes. So let's jump in and pick some up, and I'm just going to start applying it. Now this is a very buildable formula. This brush might be too, yeah. So this brush is too wispy to pick it up. I'm gonna use this brush. This is from Refer. I have used it once before, but I just ran across a towel so that, you know, there's no, it's pretty clean. So let's see if we can get better pigment with a more densely packed brush. Woo, tongue twisted. So this is the 4th application. So it is not showing up on my skin tone. Oh, that's a bummer. Okay, so it's struggling to show up on my skin tone. This is applying it 5 times. And it's starting to kind of make my foundation look a little bit funky. It's very buildable, but I definitely think this is best for like fair, light medium. If you're medium tan, you might struggle with this one because it is a very buildable formula, but it doesn't have a lot of depth. And I have built it and built it and built it, and it's just not really giving me enough color. So that's kind of a bummer, to be honest with you. I was really hoping that this color would work for me. But you can kind of see, the more I keep applying it, the more it becomes kind of dusty looking. And that's what can happen when you're applying too much of a powder blush. If I was gonna keep this, I would use this as a blush topper. Meaning that I used a cream blush, put on a cream blush that gave me the depth and the color, and then use this over top. Which is kind of a waste. It is for me anyway. I'm gonna go ahead and contour and add some bronzer and see if I can kind of pull this together and see if I can get the color to pop. Okay, so I went ahead and added some bronzer and some contour, and I've powdered, set it with setting spray, and I'm gonna go in and add a little bit more color, but I'm actually gonna see if I can use the brush, see if the brush will help it to apply. I just don't know, but so I'm gonna take the brush. Yeah, this color's just not dark enough for me. Such a bummer. Such a bummer, you guys. I really had high hopes for this, but it is just not dark enough. I think what I'm gonna do is I think I'm gonna add a little teeny bit of this, which is from Westman Atelier. This is called Minette, and I'm gonna just pop this over top and see if I can get it to kind of bring it to life a little bit, like bring some color. Well, that was fun. Let's move on to the lip. So I picked up one shade in this Rouge Cocoa Balm. This is an Hydrating Beautifying Tinted Lip Balm, and I picked it up in the shade 918 My Rose. That's the color. That is stunning. So this color reminds me of a color that I got from Chanel that has been discontinued, and it's been one of my absolute favorites, and I'm almost out of it. In the shade Flushed, and I was actually, look how much I have left. I was actually wearing this in my review of the Dior Skin Glow Foundation. In the midday check-in, this is what I was wearing. And this is the most gorgeous color, and I am so pissed that they discontinued it. I think it's 139 flushed, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not 100% off the top of my head. The bottom is gone. I don't know where the bottom went, but anyway, meaning this thing came out, so not sure. But this has been my, like, ride or die. So when I saw this color, I thought how this would compare to this one that I'm absolutely in love with. So let's swatch it. So they're kind of similar. This new one is a little bit more of a pink. This one is a little bit more natural. This one has a little bit more color to it, but they're very similar, and I'm not mad at that. But this is really pretty, and I love this white packaging. In fact, I kind of wish that these were white too, like it would really bring it together, but I love this white packaging. This is so classic and so beautiful and just kind of gives you that Chanel vibe, that classic Chanel look. I'm here for it. It's gorgeous. Go ahead and get into my final thoughts. I'm gonna first start with the palette, and I think this palette is really beautiful. The only struggle that I'm having is that as I swatched it, I don't know if you can see, of course I ruined all the embossing, but just putting my finger down in there, this is kind of a crumbly formula. So just kind of be careful with it. It's a little bit of a delicate formula. She's a delicate bird, especially that shade. I didn't have any issues with the other three, but that one definitely, like, as you swatch it, it's a little bit powdery, and then it kind of gets caught around the rim of where the shadow sits down in. And if you're somebody that uses your finger to apply these, you might run into that. I loved the way that that shade in particular applied on the lid, especially with that sponge tip applicator dampened. Beautiful. I don't feel like this palette is going to be for everyone. And if you like the Hollywood Flawless Eye Filter palettes from Charlotte Tilbury, I think you'll really like this one from Chanel. Same goes for the Dior. So I swatched it next to this palette, which is the Golden Snow. This was their, I think this was last year's holiday palette, if I'm not mistaken, by Dior, but they have that same type of texture where they're very kind of soft, very finely milled, glitter, pearl type of look to the eye. Overall, I like it, but I'm not like flipping over it. It's what Chanel is. It's that soft, kind of radiant, just very sophisticated. So it all is going to boil down to what you like and what you look for in makeup. They are very expensive. They're one of the more expensive quads because you just don't get very much, especially in this one, having only 2 grams. So this quad is $32.50 per gram. So kind of comparing that to a Tom Ford quad, most of the time they come with 10 grams worth of product, and they're now $89, and that makes them $8.90 per gram for a Tom Ford quad. So you pay $8.90 per gram for a Tom Ford quad versus $32 per gram for a Chanel quad. So kind of keep that in mind when you are thinking about picking up these palettes and how they compare in price. And I think as long as you kind of know all of that going into it, you'll be okay with your purchase. Now, let's talk about the blush. I'm kind of bummed that this color just did not work for me, but I'm definitely going to pass this down to my daughter. She'll get use out of this. I think this will actually be really beautiful on her complexion. She's like a light medium skin tone with like an olive undertone. Now, she gets pretty dark tan in the summer, so she probably won't wear this in the summer, but in the winter, I think this will be really pretty on her. But I just was kind of hoping that it would build more because it looks so beautiful in the pan, but it just doesn't have a lot of pigment. So just know that these are not very pigmented. Did go ahead and order the other shade. By the time that shade arrives and I've used it and stuff. Maybe I'll update you guys in my January favorites video. So I do hope that that was helpful for those that are my complexion and you were thinking about getting that shade. I hope that that stops you from buying it, because it's definitely, it's not gonna work. Now, these I am very excited about. I do like this formula. I've only reapplied it once since I applied it on camera. It doesn't stay on as long. I'll be honest with you, it doesn't stay on as long as this flushed one. And I think this was Cocoa Rouge something. I can't remember what this was. I'll have to put it down here at the bottom because I do not remember exactly what this flushed was. See, this one does not stay on as long. It doesn't have the shine like the flushed does, but it does give that kind of healthy glow to the lip, and I quite like it. So I'm excited about the coral color. So those are my thoughts, you guys. Sound off down below in the comment section. Let us know, did you guys pick up anything from this Chanel 2022 spring summer collection? Share with us in the comment section down below your experience. I will be reviewing this foundation coming up very soon, so keep your eye on out for that. Thank you so much for hanging out with me in today's video. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys all in my next video. Love you. Bye.